Bartolo Colon's pitch to D. Gordon. On September 26, 2016, the New York Mets were playing the Miami Marlins at the now Lone Depot Park. On his third pitch in the first inning, Bartolo Colon threw 85 miles per hour right down the middle of the plate, giving D. Gordon his first home run of the season. This wasn't just an average game for the Marlins though, which is why many believe the theory that Colon deliberately gave Gordon an easy pitch. This was the day after Marlins ace pitcher Jose Fernandez had passed away in a boating accident. Fernandez was just 24 years old when he passed away, and he was incredibly talented, with a 2.58 ERA and a 38-17 record through his 4 seasons in the majors. He was a fan favorite, and given this was the first game after his death, fans and teammates were all still mourning the loss. Colon and everyone else watching knew just how important this game was to the Marlins and their fans. It seems almost undeniable that Colon's pitch was in honor of Fernandez, giving Miami the chance to pay their respects even as the Mets were still fighting for a wild card spot. Gordon's leadoff homer was one of the most emotional moments in MLB history, honoring Fernandez and lifting up the grieving Marlins team and fan base. And if Colon didn't throw a meatball, it almost certainly wouldn't have played out the same. 2019 London Series Juiced Balls. In June 2019, the first MLB games to ever be played in Europe were held in the London Stadium in London, England. MLB had 2 of its most popular teams and arch rivals, the Yankees and Red Sox, playing the 2-game series in an effort to establish more baseball fans in the United Kingdom. The theory goes that these 2 games were rigged, either through juiced balls or influence over the teams to have pitchers not try as hard, to provide a more entertaining game for people who are most likely watching Major League Baseball for the first time. Between the 2 games, 50 runs were scored, with the Yankees taking both games with a score of 17-13 in Game 1 and 12-8 in Game 2. In the first game alone, both teams scored 6 runs in the first inning, and with a combined 30 runs by the end of the game, it was the second most combined runs scored in a Yankees-Red Sox matchup ever. Game 2 slugfest had the Red Sox hit 3 home runs in the first inning, the first time they've managed it since 1979. The Yankees went on to score 9 runs in the 7th inning, winning 12-8 and completing the comeback after being down 4-2 through 6 innings. The 2019 London Series was the most attended international MLB game ever, so it doesn't seem unreasonable that they would have wanted to make sure that the nearly 59,000 fans in the stadium got an entertaining series. If you enjoy these baseball explainer videos, consider leaving a like and subscribing, that way you never miss an upload. 2025 Home Run Derby was rigged. Cal Raleigh's 2025 has been absurd. While he put up 30 or more home runs in 2023 and 2024, his 2025 season has him breaking records. So far in 2025, Raleigh has 41 homers, leading all of the majors. He's broken the records for most home runs by a primary catcher before the All-Star break. He was the first catcher and switch hitter in MLB history to hit 30 home runs before the All-Star break. And with 38 home runs, he set the AL record for most home runs before the All-Star break, just 1 home run away from Barry Bonds' all-time MLB record of 39. Raleigh has become a superstar this season, and it's led many people to believe that his home run derby win was part of the plan to continue the storyline. The most questionable part of the derby was when Raleigh tied in round 1 with Brent Rooker, both hitting 17 home runs. Raleigh won the tiebreaker by having the longest home run at 470.617 feet, with Rooker's longest homer being 470.525 feet, less than 30 millimeters apart. It measured to such an accurate number, it's hard to believe how truly close it was, bringing into question if they just let Raleigh through for the narrative. With Raleigh's win in the derby, he became the first catcher in MLB history to win the derby, along with being the first switch hitter to win the derby. With such a strong narrative behind him and his historic season, it makes sense as to why so many people believe MLB gave as much of a push to Raleigh as possible to keep the hype going. Brady Anderson used steroids in 1996. Brady Anderson's 1996 season was equal amounts of impressive and suspicious. Anderson played center field for the Baltimore Orioles, and his previous 7.5 seasons there were decent, but there was nothing truly remarkable. He averaged just 2 WAR per season, slashing .250, .349, and .393 while averaging just 9 home runs per season. His best season prior to 1996 was the 1992 season, where he batted .271 with 21 home runs, and he earned his first All-Star nomination. Just a few seasons later in 1996, Anderson had by far the best season of his career. He slugged 50 homers that season, breaking the Baltimore Orioles' single-season home run record that was set by Frank Robinson in 1966. He had the second most most home runs in the majors, just 2 behind Mark McGwire and beating out Ken Griffey Jr.'s 49. His slash line was also by far the best of his career at 297, 396, and 637. His 4 consecutive leadoff home runs also set the all-time MLB record. All this came after a season where Anderson hit just 16 home runs and batted .262. His previous career-high home run season was 21, and for the next 6 seasons before retirement, he would max out at 24 homers in the 1999 season. While there's no real evidence Anderson took steroids, slugging more than double his previous career best home runs adds fuel to the theory. Even Jim Palmer, a Hall of Fame pitcher that played for the Orioles, hinted in an interview that he believed Anderson took steroids. Despite the lack of evidence that Anderson took steroids, most people look at Anderson's 1996 season as just another part of the steroid era. Albert Pujols' age theory. Pretty much since his debut, people have been claiming that Albert Pujols is older than he says. Pujols made his MLB debut at 21 years old, and in his first season he slugged 37 home runs with an OPS of 1013. The power that he showed at such a young age was unreal, and from 2001 to 2010, Pujols was one of the best hitters in MLB, averaging 41 home runs per season over those 10 years. It seemed like Pujols had hit his peak relatively early in his career, because after 2010, when he was 30 years old, he never batted above 300 again, despite having never batted below 312 in any previous season. It seemed like he had hit his prime, and while his offensive production was still great for a few more years, it was nothing like his first 10 years. A few things feed into the theory, the first being that he's from the Dominican Republic. Some players like Miguel Tejada were drafted out of the Dominican Republic and were caught lying about their age, claiming they were younger than they actually were to increase their chances of getting drafted. Tejada claimed to be born in 1976, but it was revealed that he was actually born in 1974, and a lot of people think Pujols did the same. Another major reason is Pujols just looked older than he claimed. Even before he was drafted, many teams weren't interested in Pujols because they were uncertain about his actual age. And of course, the third reason is his unusual career arc, seemingly peaking earlier in age than other top hitters, showing an obvious decline in power past 32 years old. The 1987 Twins cheated. The 1987 Minnesota Twins were an interesting team. Despite winning the AL West, their record was pretty unremarkable. With just 85 wins, they had the worst regular season record of every other division winner. The Detroit Tigers won the AL East with 98 games, the Cardinals won the NL East with 95 games, and the Giants won the NL West with 90 games. The Twins would win the World Series, and immediately fans and players began wondering if their home field advantage had something to do with it. The Twins had a 56-25 record at home, but on the road their record was an abysmal 29-52. The theory is that the Twins cheated at their home games by having Metrodome managers change the ventilation while the Twins were batting, helping balls travel further, leading to more home runs. Bobby Valentine was managing the Texas Rangers at the time and said that his players would even mention feeling the wind blowing out while they were in the field, but blowing in while they were batting. In 2003, a superintendent of the Metrodome even came out and admitted that he would mess with the ventilation during games to try and give the Twins an advantage, saying, if they were down 2 runs and you're still hoping for them to have the advantage, you want to be blowing all the air out and up as much as you can. Matt Holliday never touched home. The Colorado Rockies' 2007 season was one of the most ridiculous comeback stories in MLB history, leading up to a moment that isn't even really a conspiracy theory, it's more of a fact. The Rockies went into September 6 games behind the Padres and Diamondbacks, who are fighting for first place in the NL West. By September 16th, the Rockies' chances of making the postseason was slim to none with their 76-72 record. But in a historic miracle run, the Rockies proceeded to win 14 of their last 15 games of the season, tying for second place with the San Diego Padres at 89 wins, forcing a Game 163 tiebreaker. The tiebreaker game would go 13 innings, with the Padres taking the lead 8-6 at the top of the 13th inning. In the bottom of the inning, Kazuo Matsui immediately doubles for the Rockies, followed by a double from Troy Tulowitzki, bringing in Matsui for a run. Matt Holliday comes up next and hits a triple to right field, scoring Tulowitzki and tying the game. With no outs, Jamie Carroll hits a sac fly, giving Holliday the chance to tag up and score the game-winning run, bringing the Rockies to the postseason. But Matt Holliday actually never touched home plate, with Michael Barrett blocking Holliday's slide, yet umpire Tim McClellan called him safe, likely due to the fact that the ball bounced away from Barrett. The announcers and journalists both questioned the call, saying it was clear that Holiday never actually touched home. There was no instant replay to challenge the call in 2007, so McClellan's call stood, and the Rockies moved on to the postseason in a way that seemingly wasn't deserved. Yankees Throw to deny Red Sox the postseason. The 2011 Yankees had the second best record in baseball at 97-65, behind only the Phillies, who put up 102 wins that season. The Yankees won the AL East by a decent margin, with the Tampa Bay Rays finishing 6 games behind and the Red Sox finishing in third, down 7 games. The theory is, with the Yankees' postseason spot in the ALDS secured a week before the season ended, they purposefully threw, or at least weren't trying, in the last game of the season against the Tampa Bay Rays, where they started with a 7-0 lead but lost 8-7. The purpose of them losing this game? To put the Rays at 91 wins, giving them the AL wildcard spot and denying the Yankees' biggest rivals, the Red Sox, the chance to play in the postseason. But what's more likely is that the Rays just had a lot of momentum going into their final game of the season. At the start of September, the Rays were 9 games behind Boston's 83 wins. But through September, they had a 16-9 record going into their final game. The Red Sox had the opposite happen. Despite being 9 games ahead, they had an atrocious 7-19 record through September, bringing the season record to a perfect tie with the Rays by their final games at 90-71. The Rays' comeback in their final game was a storybook ending. With bases loaded and no outs in the 8th inning, a walk and a hit by pitch scored the first 2 runs for the Rays, bringing the score 7-2. A sac fly from BJ Upton brought the score to 7-3, and Evan Longoria homered to bring the game 7-6. In the 9th inning, Dan Johnson hit his second home run of the season to tie the game. In the 12th inning, Longoria hit a walk-off home run, securing the Rays their spot in the wild card and denying the Red Sox the postseason. The theory that the Yankees intentionally lost this game is a fun one, but it's more realistic that this was just a choke in a game that really only mattered for one of the teams